Welcome, Rusty Truckers, to the One Poet, One Poem episode 2. Tonight we have Paul Corman-Roberts from the Bay Area, I believe Oakland. And Paul's got a couple of poems he's going to read. Uh, Paul Corman-Roberts' full-length poetry collection, Bone Moon Palace, from Black Lawerence Press in 2021, is a CLMP Firecracker nominee. Most recently, he has released a graphic chapbook, The Sincere, with Ray Swaney from Libran Apocalypse Books, 2022. Paul is the original founder and organizer of the Beast Crawl Lit Festival. Currently teaches workshops for the Older Writers Lab, San Francisco Creative Writing Institute, and the Oakland Unified School District. Paul sometimes fills in as a drummer for the U.S. Ghostal Service in the Jennifer Blowdryer Band and the Poznansky Sisters, but mostly, Paul was just exhausted.
Oh
I'm going to give
God, yes.
I'm going to give the stage to you, Paul.
All right. Do I, is okay if I just jump into the poem instead of spending a bunch of time talking about it?
You can do whatever you like to, my friend.
Right on. I'm just gonna, I think I do think this piece explains itself pretty well.
Oh
This
yeah.
is called this is called Simple. One Christmas not long ago, I visit home, clearly down and depressed, more than usual. No job, no prospects. My father tells me, you just need to get yourself a girl, a simple, easygoing girlfriend who likes to party a little bit, but isn't all ambitious and just wants, to keep things mellow. Maybe he feels the need to say these things because I look wound up after a call with an ex. I look at him and say, I'm more into the bi girls, Dad. And with a furrowed brow, he asks, you mean bisexual? And I answer, I guess. I mean, sure. Bisexual, bi-curious, bi-coastal, binary challenge, biannual, by the by, and yes, bipolar. I appreciate your support, Pops, but honestly, the simple ones don't do it for me. I'm attracted to the difficult ones, the ones with mixed emotions and even more conflicting desires, the ones who struggle with disassociation and impulse, the ones who, with a flash of their eyes, can unhinge my everyday orbit and send it spinning down any old tangent that cannot be predicted. Never mind the day, but entire life trajectory can be ruined by an emotional meltdown by the by. And I remember clear as the California sky, his shoulders slumped downward, as if fitted with a 30-pound bag of laundry. His gaze also follows to the floor, and he says, well, son, I'm really, really sorry to learn about that. And to his further dismay, I cackled. I think he recognized something, even though I didn't have the heart to tell him I was just kidding. Sort of.
Good one. Hey,
Thank you.
do you have that one from Tiffany in my backpack? Do you have that poem handy at all?
I do, actually. Yeah, I know you brought
Okay.
it up, and I brought it back out and said I messed with it. It's a little, it might be a little bit different than the version you've got in front of you.
Okay. But that's fine too. I'm trying to look here, and that came from, I believe that came from a chapbook that I had, a handmade chapbook that I had published when when Todd Moore passed away in
Yeah, oh my
2010.
God. This is like the Wild West days, man. We had poems,
Mm-hmm.
we had books, we had little micro chaps, everything coming out all over the place back
Oh,
then.
there was.
Oh, it was. I was to me that was such a time. You guys talking to you guys tonight just brings back so much. And just the wide open wild feel of that whole the underground scene. And and then just like within a year or two, there were all these young people, all these millennials suddenly there doing this thing they called alt lit, which didn't last very long, but it was funny because they were acting like they were the only internet literary movement around. I'm like, hey, wait a minute, kids. Some of us have been here a while. But
Well,
did you
let's
want me
hear
to
that
read
one,
that one?
Paul.
Did you want me to read that or send it
Absolutely.
to you or?
No, Just read it.
Okay, this is it. Tiffany in my backpack. This precious sterling heart requests it be returned to its dealer should it get lost. This request deemed laughable should it escape in this neighborhood from where there is no return. Unless said dealer has a covert deal already with the pawn shops and fences that we'd all like to know about. But for me, the trick is to conceal the bourgeois logo so the golems don't hone in like airplanes on beacons. After all, this is the known tender knob, the amorphous in between, where the rich and poor rub their shoulders and genitalia together in a shared depravity no one questions. Not even the plainly out of placers, not too sure how to react when cannabis clouds form around their heads, where hot girls openly share their studded tongues with each other right there in front of them. Everyone playing their shtick on every corner still likes to believe they're a beautiful player, not like the ones down the hill, where but for the grace of their goddess, each one bad lover away from landing sideways, and whether these dreams move uphill or downhill, they never, ever return.
That's great. Thank you, Paul. That poem will be in the Rusty Truck anthology, which is a combination of 5 chapbooks that we published back in 2009 and 2010. And, to bring up some old names for our audience, well, not necessarily old names because this man would smack me, but SA is in the book. Uh, Misty Rainwater, who just had a
Misty
book
Rainwater
come
Lights,
out.
oh my goodness.
Yeah, she just had a book come out not too many months ago with Roadside Press.
Yes.
Todd Moore's in it. Father Luke, MK, William Taylor, Rebecca, Bradley Mason, Hamlin Carl, F.N. Wright, bless his little heart, may he rest in peace.
Yeah.
Uh, and there's more. Jack Henry. Uh,
Jack Henry.
you know, this book will be about 150 pages that could be a primer for anyone who wants to learn how to write poetry because these people could do it.
You could certainly start with worst close readings, because you're
Sure.
talking about people with the freedom to express themselves. And that's one of the hardest things I find when I'm working with students who are just starting out is how to I mean, the first thing they look at, when I start to suggest that you have to write honestly, that you have to write from a place of emotional honesty. And that means being explicit. Says you don't name names, but you talk about your relationships and your your actions and your behavior, and you write about all of those things honestly. And that's how people have a hard time doing that.
I told my students or my children, tell your story. It's just a snapshot. They didn't necessarily name names, but they named people and they told their story, and their stories weren't happy. And
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
uh,
There's a lot about it that's disturbing, but that's what our lives are.
sure. And so we start off doing form poetry just to get some words down, like haikus and tankas, and uh, we took a John Dorsey's poems, the prettiest girl poems, and they mimic that. And one day, a 17-year-old boy in the class goes, Mr. Young, for a creative writing class, you got a hell of a lot of rules. And I went, yeah, you're right. So let's throw those rules away and you tell your story. And that's what they did. And it
That
worked.
I love that. I love that, Scott. That's a
Yeah.
gift. That's a gift to be able to give those kids.
Yeah. Well, I miss it, but we're moving on. And I appreciate you taking the time. You were one of the first people I published in Rusty Truck. Uh, and it just kind of went West Coast, West Coast, West Coast, people. I went from AAD to William Taylor, and in fact, I was reading William Taylor's book one day, and I can't remember the title, Unwritten something, and I was sitting on my front porch, and I was burning leaves, and I was burning a pile of leaves pretty close to a plastic greenhouse, and I got into his book so much that the plastic started to melt, the inside filled up with smoke, and I went, "Oh, what the hell?"
Uh-oh.
And so
Uh-oh. Next thing you
I
spent some
blame
time in
him.
the rabbit hole, Scott.
I know it. Anyway, we're gonna cut this off because if my people that will listen to this are like me, their attention span's about 15 minutes.
That's all right.
So
It's a thank you so much, Scott. It's an honor and a privilege. And thank you too, Jack. Both of you. Just it's an honor and a privilege to be sharing this with you guys.
yeah,
And the fact that
if
we're
it
still doing it
wasn't
all
for
these
Jack,
years later just blows my mind that much more.
well, you're most welcome, and I'd like to thank Jack because if it wasn't for Jack, I'm probably not smart enough to do this. So anyway,
Yeah, no, this the social yet distanced emotional orphan man. Can I don't sleep on that one.
no. Peace, brother.
All right, we'll see you guys
All
later.
right.